A lot of people like to hate these. Kel-tec P380, 6-round mag. It's my everyday carry pieces. Got some soft tips in it, but I haven't shot it in 6 months, so I figured I'd give it some love. Let's see, can you see the target there? Yeah, it'll scare the boogers. I think that's it. Now these guns they're pretty much point and shoot and make a big bang. Is it reliable? Probably no more reliable than anything else. But this one, you know, you got to know your gun. This one, been a champ. I'd trust my life to it. Of course, I wouldn't trust my life to any gun, but in the relative scheme of things, yeah, I'd trust my life to this gun. At least to make a bang and hit in the general direction that I'm aiming. So that's that. Gonna do a little story time gun cleaning today. Went shooting a few days ago and have to pay the piper by cleaning the weapons when I'm done. But today's story is my friends' stories. Actually, I'm retelling these stories from some co-workers, more specifically when we went down to Puerto Rico. And I worked for a company that had a division down in Puerto Rico, and I had to go down there quite often to do audits and help them with projects and stuff like that, because where I worked was the mothership, and where Puerto Rico division was a kind of a satellite site. It was quite large. It was, oh gosh, I think there were at least 800 people working there. So I would go down there pretty often, and I never really experienced any bad things personally. I was pretty nervous going down there and being at some of the places, but not like some of my coworkers experienced. The first guy, we'll call him, let's see, what's Alex. A for Alex, right? Alex is a big guy. He's very muscular. He works out, real soft-spoken, but he looks like Mr. Universe. Real muscular. Did I say muscular? Anyway, he said one time he was downtown San Juan and just kind of sightseeing, walking around, and not really paying attention to what his surroundings were. And he said he ended up in like an alleyway, just kind of going around corners. You know, you look at the shops and you just kind of follow the street sidewalk around corner, and it was, I think he said it was like dusk, but he said he kind of wandered around the corner, kept walking, and just kind of noticed, hey, there's no more shops down here. So he turned around and started walking back towards the main road, and I'm guessing he's probably about a quarter mile down that one alley. I'm making this up. I'm speculating from what I can remember. But anyway, Alex is walking and he hears footsteps behind him. So he kind of looks back, and there's three, I think he said like three guys, maybe in their early 20s, you know, average looking guys, and they were just kind of following him. And he's like, didn't think much of it, and so he kept walking, and he heard their footsteps getting a little faster. Now, mind you, like I said, he's a big guy. He could have probably taken one or two of them for sure. One of them for sure. Two of them, meh. But 3, you know, he kind of got nervous. So he starts walking a little faster. They start walking a little faster. Next thing you know, he's in a full-bore run, and they're in a full-bore run. And luckily, he got to the end of the street, and there was, you know, there were other pedestrians there that kind of helped him blend in, and I guess he, you know, protected him because of if they did anything bad to him, they, you know, people would see. So luckily for him, he didn't wander off too far off the beaten path. And mind you, the people who live there don't even like to be out and about by themselves. So that was story number 1. Story number 2, we'll call him Bob. B, you know, the B story. Bob, the way the travel always kind of seems to work out is when we travel, we book a flight, and we usually fly out of Chicago, and we get to San Juan it's usually late in the evening because it's like a 5-hour flight. So we usually leave we try to leave Chicago on like a noon flight or something like that, or maybe even a 2 or 3 o'clock flight, and then we get down there about 5 or 6, and then we have to also drive another 2 hours down to Ponce, which is on the south side of the island. But anyway, one time Bob decided to take a later flight, and he didn't get in until, well, it was his first time down there. He didn't know what to expect. So he took a flight that was later in the evening, and he got down there, 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening. After he got his rental car and stuff like that, he started driving, and started driving down towards Ponce, which is about a 2-hour drive. And somewhere along the line, he decided he wanted to get some snacks or something like that. So he pulls off the Autopista. That's the name of the highway, or what they call the highway down there. And he goes into this convenience store and buys what he needs to buy. And he didn't really think anything was. He didn't think he was in danger, but he kind of thought it was kind of strange. The clerk kind of kept looking at him. It didn't say a whole lot to him, you know, just kind of rung him up, gave him his change, and watched as he walked back out to his car. And so he's like, oh, that's kind of weird. People were kind of looking at him funny. And so when he got to the hotel, you know, checked in, went to bed, got up the next morning, went to the job site, and he was telling his contact down at the job site where, you know, what had happened. He pulled over, and clerk was kind of looking at it funny, and there were like 3 or 4 people around, and looked at him like, you did what? You stopped where? They said, don't ever do that again, because you're lucky to be alive. You know, and personally, I never really experienced. I went down to Puerto Rico maybe 2 or 3 times before I heard all these stories, so I didn't really have the preconceived notion of what it was like down there, or how dangerous people have described it to be. I didn't get that perception when I went down there. But anyway, third and final story of this story time. This is the most harrowing. So we'll see. C for Carl. Carl went down there quite often too, and he said that the first time, same story, same scenario. First time he went down there, it was late in the evening, and he stops at a convenience store. Except this time it was closer to San Juan. And gets his groceries. I don't think he needed gas because he just picked up the car. Gets his groceries and goes to check out, and he notices some mid 20 guys come up and say, "Oh, they start grabbing his groceries," and he's like, he didn't say anything. He just kind of looked at him, and they're like, "Oh, we'll help you. We'll help you take your stuff to your car." And he's like, "No, really, I'm okay, really." And they're like, "No, it's okay." So he's, and there are like 2 or 3 of them, and the clerk, same thing as the clerk with Bob, didn't say a thing. He just kind of looked at him and rung him up, just kept his mouth shut. And so they take Carl's stuff and follow him out to the car, and they just open his car door and they start putting stuff in his car. And so Carl goes around to the driver's side, and after they shut his passenger door with the groceries, Carl goes, "Oh, thanks a lot. Here's your tip." And he has like a, just whatever change he had in his hand, he just kind of threw it over the roof of the car, and it goes flying towards him. And he gets in the car, cranks it over, and he just takes off. And I can't remember if he mentioned it to any of his coworkers, any of the guys in Puerto Rico the next day, but that was pretty odd. And I'm not saying Carl was in any danger, but the perception was that that's not normal for somebody in the States. Well, not in everywhere, and not where we were, not where headquarters was anyway. That somebody would just pick up your groceries and start taking them out to your car that you didn't know, especially 2 or 3 people. So that was kind of harrowing. So my own personal experience, I really didn't have any dangerous encounters or perceived dangerous encounters. It's just that when I talk to people down there that work there, they're like, "Oh yeah, it's really dangerous." And when you look around, I go to the grocery store. In fact, my boss used to live down, or his wife used to live down there, and so he was down there quite often. And he didn't seem, I first time down there was with him, and he didn't seem to really worry about much. We would go to this marina at night, and we would go to these restaurants in the evening. We pretty much kept to well-lit spaces, but I never really experienced any perceived danger anywhere. But when you go to the grocery store, they have guard towers at the grocery stores. I don't know if I can find any pictures or anything, but if I can, I'll put in some pictures here. But yeah, they're like little round guard towers that are probably about 8-10 feet in the air. So apparently there's crime and theft that goes on in the parking lot, and people lock everything up. In fact, a friend of mine, my boss's friend, whose house we went to, and his friend lived in San Juan. They have gated communities, and there are gates on a lot of houses down there, which is after you've been down there a couple times, you get used to it. But at first, you kind of notice that. That's one of the things you notice, is that everybody has gates and fences all around their houses. So, they're in fear of something. But I personally never really felt any danger. Oh, I do remember the hotel I stayed at, and I'll probably roll in some pictures. That's not good. I don't know what. Oh, I know what that is. I'll roll in some pictures of when I've been down there, just to kind of give you guys something to look at besides me cleaning my gun. But yeah, at the hotel I stayed at, people at the work site would say, "Yeah, stay away from the fence. There's a fence at nighttime after dark. There's a fence, like a wrought iron gate, between the beach." The hotel is right on the beach, between the beach and the hotel a patio area, I guess, you know, where you have the pool, ping pong tables and stuff like that. But there's a fence that they close after dark, and there were horror stories of guys getting attacked by the fence, and they said if you see somebody on the other side of the fence, if you walk around the hotel perimeter at night, don't approach them, because there were stories of people getting attacked. But you know, it's kind of a, I don't know, strange, here's a word for you, a juxtaposition of some places beautiful as southern Puerto Rico, paradise almost, and all the danger or perceived danger everywhere. It is a relatively, I wouldn't say poor land, country, state, territory. Everything has to be barged in or flown in, and so everything is probably about 15 or 20% more expensive than on the mainland U.S. And it's you know, so I'm not surprised that there would be high crime there, but I just personally didn't see it. But I had a good time down there. I made some good friends, and I wouldn't mind going back. In fact, one of my friends that I worked with at a different company, not the same company where we had a division in Puerto Rico, but he was born there, was raised there, and he said he wouldn't live there. So I'll take his word for it. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of nice places in Puerto Rico, and I have met many nice people down there. But I guess the moral of the story, besides just the three strange stories, is when you're down in Puerto Rico, even though it's paradise, keep your wits about you, and you know, stay safe out there. All right, that's it for this story time. If you have any Puerto Rico stories, put them in the comments below, and maybe I'll do another video about Puerto Rico. Take care. Bye. All right, got it back together. I know you're not supposed to dry fire these things, but I don't think it's gonna kill it.